Ken, what was your take on that game?
Look, it wasn't certainly our absolute best performance, but by the end of the day, we found a way to win by 40 points against a side that's obviously improved a fair bit since the last time we played them. We made some mistakes, they made some mistakes, but as I said, you come out at the end of the game at 40-point victory, you've got to just move on.
Ken, does that tell you how much maybe last week knocked them around? That you begin to get that self-doubt, self-confidence gets battered by...
Certainly, look, it certainly it hurt you, there's no doubt about it, your performance did hurt you, but I think we're just in that patch where we're not quite at our absolute best. Sometimes that's opposition driven, sometimes it's certainly us, and at the moment I'd say we're just a tiny bit off sharp. Now, we have been sharp for a big part of the year, but we're just a tiny bit off sharp.
Jarrett Pollock.
Yeah, it looks like a pretty natural hamstring injury, and we suspect that if it is, he'll miss 2 to 3 weeks. That's just the way it goes in footy. We've had an unbelievable run with our conditioning, so I'd be a bit tough if I was up here worried about and whinging about one hamstring. It's footy season, that's what happens. We've got players in good form underneath, it's really, really important.
Any thoughts on who would replace him?
No, not right. Oh, yeah. God, no, not right now. Who knows? Let's see where the Magpies play tomorrow and see who backs up their consistent form.
Do you think you can go just fill that gap, or do you think you might have to shuffle to cover Polak?
We've got some wingers who are in pretty good form in the sample, so that's an obvious position for us. But we've also got other players who have played some strong footy in other areas of the ground, which may allow us to be a little bit more flexible. And we've got great flexibility in the group that we've got out there. We put Broadbent up into the middle tonight a little bit too. We can play Boak up on the wing full time if we wanted to. So we have got some opportunities to go there. We can play Jarman Impey, Chad Wingard, those type of players can all play around the wing. So there's a little bit of what's underneath and what we can do.
Feel vindicated with need?
Yeah, Jake applied some good pressure. That's what Jake does. In most games he's putting a lot of heat on the opposition and creating some turnovers, and he didn't quite get his finish that he would have liked tonight. But that's his first game back at the level in obviously this year, and that's a big challenge for any player.
But he likes getting in the faces of opposition players, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's what he does. He puts pressure on. That's Jake's game. If Jake doesn't bring that, Jake probably doesn't play football. That's as simple as that. He's not the biggest boy going around, but he's a pretty aggressive little fellow when he gets after people.
Is Travis 100%? He doesn't seem to have the same influence at the minute.
No, people don't have great games. They're injured. No, they're not.
He's had a couple.
They're not injured. Trav's not.
He's just
like the team. I think he's not the only one. Because he's a captain and a figurehead, that's obvious why you ask those questions. But no, he's got nothing too much wrong with him. He's just just working away like the team.
His hands are still good inside though, aren't they?
Trav, yeah, Trav's a pretty good player. Let's be honest, and that's why you notice them, I reckon. The really good players, when they're just a little bit off, you actually see a little bit more. And for us as a football team, we need our top end players and our leadership players to play strong footy all the time.
What about Jarman Impey? He obviously started forward but finished the game in the back line. Was that just a bit of trying to get him involved in the game?
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes it's as obvious as it looks, and that's what it was. Jars wasn't, he started the game incredibly well early, and then just disappeared a bit. So we felt like he could add a little bit to his own game and also add a little bit to us with his rebound, and his run. So that was one of the reasons. You always like to try and keep people touching the footy because that's the best thing for confidence.
You move into 4th spot, but some people may suggest during the week that. Who have you beaten? Because it's not a top 8 side. Is that being unkind or unfair? Or
played 12 games.
Yeah.
There's only 6 left. We can only play who we can play, and you can only win when you can win. And yeah, we would have loved to, as I've said plenty of times, we would have loved to have beaten a couple of other sides when we've been in really tough contests. But we'll get better at that, and we'll turn them into victories at some point.
You've got 3 guys who can play ruck and forward, and it's a real asset, isn't it? But would you like to throw it around a lot as an asset, or would you like to have it quite settled?
I like it settled. I like Paddy doing most of the ruck with Jacko chopping out, and Charlie, we know it's good for Charlie. I thought Charlie played a pretty significant game in the second half, the way we changed his positioning too. He went up and played as almost a roaming half forward, and that was pretty significant because he took his opponent away and allowed Paddy to get a couple of balls in behind him, so that worked out pretty well.
Any chance of seeing a debutant in Will and Drew next week for Jared Pollock?
Well, whoever plays well tomorrow certainly gives themselves the best opportunity, but a number of those young boys we've talked about, but also the more mature players have all been in pretty good form down there, so I wouldn't like to single out any young player or any mature age player and say you can't possibly not get in the game, or you will definitely get a game. Play well tomorrow is my message, and you give yourself a best chance.
The kid doesn't look tired, does he?
Which kid?
The kid, Sam Powell-Pepper, doesn't look
Oh,
tired.
he's tired, isn't he?
He's not tired, is he?
I don't buy into it. I just don't believe that that's an issue. If you bring contest energy, you don't look tired. And Sam will have some ups and downs. He had one in the first half last week and bounced back. And you know he's had built a pretty amazing first season, hasn't he? Let's be honest in what he's been able to impact games at vital moments for a young player. That's what I look for, and I think he does that quite regularly.
His appetite for contested footy is great, isn't it?
Yeah, that's not a weakness. You're right there, Rich. Yeah, but again, that's the type of players that Parks and Cripper went and sought out for us. We want contested players who want to come in and play football the right way. And I said during the week, there's some young boys in the SANFL who are playing similar style.
He's got a few 65-metre goals in him as well, doesn't he?
He kicked a couple again tonight, I think, didn't he? Yeah. I can't remember whether he kicked 1 or 2 goals.
One from inside the square.
He does know how to kick a long ball. That's good credit to him, and it's a weapon. So good on him.
Apart from Pollock, any other injuries to report?
No, only Polly, and we've been lucky. I've said most weeks we haven't got an injury, so this week we have one injury, but we'll deal with that. And as I said, we'll find a replacement, and we move on.
Is Carl Amon still a week away, or has he?
Yeah, probably a week, maybe 2.
Yeah.
Carl's got an injury with the knee that's a bit reasonably significant as far as time, so we probably think he was a 4 to 6 week injury, and he's probably 3 to 4 weeks into that.
Okay.
You got a thought on the runners, Ken?
Yeah, they should be in the game. There's absolutely no doubt that they should be in the game. You can't play our game and the speed that we play it at and the restrictions that we already have. As long as the runners do their job, I think it's easy. It's not a problem. I read a bit of Luke Beveridge's comments. I think it's really important. How do you coach and teach young children when you play football? AFL cannot afford, in my view, to take the runners out of the game. They just got to make sure they police them closely. Thank you.
Thank you.